Good morning. I'm Bill Nasser, Chairman of the Board of the Laclede Group, and want to welcome you to our 12th annual meeting. And I'm a bit irreverent, so I'll bear in mind that there were 144 years prior to the formation of the Laclede Group. Would like to introduce the board, and I'll start on my left here, Arnold Donald. Arnold is the former chairman, CEO, president of Executive Leadership Council based in Washington, D.C. Mary Ann Van Lokeren, former CEO of Cray Distributing Company. Anthony Tony Liness, he's the retired investment banking director for Global Power and Energy from Merrill Lynch. Brenda Newberry, who is the CEO of Nesher LLC. W. Stephen Maritz, who's the CEO chairman of Maritz Holdings, and John P. Stupp Jr., who is the president of Stupp Brothers Incorporated. And then also we have some key officers present as well, but the last member of the board, of course, is Suzanne Sitherwood, who is the CEO and president of the company. In addition to that, where is everyone? Steve Lindsay, stand up please, by the way, the executive. Steve Lindsay, who is the executive vice president of the group and the chief operating officer of distribution operations. And Mark Waltermeyer, who is the executive vice president of the group and chief financial officer. Mark Darrell, who is the general counsel and also the chief compliance officer and senior vice president. Mary Kuhlman, who is here, and Mary is the chief administrative officer and also is the corporate secretary. And the last two are Mike Spatansky, whom you recognize for many years, I believe, and he is the chief integration and innovation officer, key role for the future. And Steve Rashi, who is the Senior Vice President of Finance and Accounting. So having said that, I think we should start our more formal presentation in just a second, but if the other officers of Laclede would please stand up and be recognized, please. So it's quite a strong team, and they've certainly been very busy, as you've heard and will hear. So, Mary, do we have proof of notice?
Yes, we do. I have the affidavit of Linda Guadagnan of Broadridge Financial Solutions that shows that the notice of the meeting has been distributed as required. At the opening of the meeting, we did have proxies for a majority of the shares issued and outstanding, and if any shareholder here has a ballot or proxy, please raise it and Usher will pick it up from you.
Okay, since we have more than a majority of the outstanding common shares represented here, either in person or by proxy, we have a quorum, therefore we may proceed with the business of the meeting. The corporate secretary has the minutes of last year's annual meeting available, and if any shareholder wishes to inspect the minutes, please contact Mary Kuhlman after the meeting. This morning we have two items of business that are on the agenda, which she will now present.
For the first item of business as proxy, I nominate Brenda Newberry, Mary Ann Van Lokeren, and Suzanne Sitherwood as nominees for a term expiring at the annual meeting in the year of 2016. These were the nominees that were named in the proxy statement.
Is there a second?
For the second item of business, as proxy, I move the ratification of the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's independent registered public accountant for the fiscal year 2013.
Is there a second for this motion? Thank you. Creighton Dunlap of IVS Associates Incorporated has been appointed as Inspector of Election and will report results to the Secretary as soon as they are available. The proxies have cast their votes in accordance with the instructions received from the shareholders giving such proxies. If any shareholder in the audience would like to submit their vote on the issues now, please raise your hand and an usher will bring you a ballot. Please mark your ballots and turn them in to an usher so that they can be tallied. We okay? Very good. Well, good morning again. I'm not very good at reading prepared remarks, so I'll just talk a bit with you. First of all, though, I'd like to acknowledge and recognize the passing of Lee Liberman. For those of you who did not know, Lee was the chairman emeritus of the Laclede Gas Company and served for many years. In fact, 17 years as in the role of leadership. He was an interesting, engaging, and knowledgeable person. One of the smartest guys I ever met, very active in leadership, both within the company and within the community. He served a lot of local organizations with distinction. He loved St. Louis. He loved this company, obviously. And I always found him to be a very knowledgeable and interesting person with respect to my own personal relationship. He was a great guy and will be missed by many people, both those of us who knew him through the company as well as the community. Having said that, this has certainly been a historic year. There's no doubt that there have been a lot of changes, and I'm sure there are some questions or comments in your mind, which we'll get to later. But in the meantime, some of those changes are that in this long history that I referred to, some total of 156 years, we now have the first female CEO to lead the company, and we're pretty proud of that, not because she's a female CEO, but because we think she is a distinguished and capable person. And this is a diverse board, and the board came to that conclusion in good fashion. So, the second thing was, of course, when she stepped in, she took on major reorganization and restructuring because of looking toward the future, honoring and respecting the tradition of the past and the history that led, but not living in the past, and looking toward the future and saying, where should this company go for all the stakeholders, the shareholders, the employees of the company, the community itself, and anyone else who has a vested interest. Third thing was the recent announcement of our major agreement with the acquisition declaration on Missouri Energy Gas and New England Gas Company, and those are certainly transformative for the company. So I wanted to comment about those. I've been a member of this board and the predecessor board since 1994, so I've had a chance to view what's been done in the past and all the work that's led up to this. And when Doug Yeager, who was the former chairman, president, and CEO, announced more than a year ago, about 2 years now, that he was wanting to retire and enjoy a new stage in his life, we set about in a very methodical way and a very diligent way to select a successor. And we chose Suzanne. The leadership that she has displayed in her past positions of more than 30 years in the natural gas industry lend themselves quite well to leading this company. She's been well regarded both in non-gas industry activities as well as the gas industry itself. She's known for very good strategic thinking. She's known for many people saying they very thoroughly enjoyed working for her, and she has included in her focus a focus on customer orientation and customer satisfaction being best in class, as well as the constant reminder that safety is foremost in this industry and should and it will remain so. So starting with all of these things, she immediately moved to make some changes that would position the company for growth in the future. And those changes are now bearing some fruit, and we expect them to continue in the future. There's a lot to be done in the future, but the board has confidence that Suzanne and this executive team will get it done. I can assure you, by visiting with them on a regular basis, that they have put a tremendous amount of effort into getting us to this point, and I'm quite sure that they will continue to do so in the future. For those who have been shareholders a long time, it is quite a change. There's no doubt about that. And yet, I think there's more to come. Once again, honoring and respecting the past, but not living in the past, moving toward the future. So I think I'll just simply close with the statement that we greatly appreciate, and on the behalf of the board, I'll express that appreciation, that you are investing in this company, and we hope we'll deliver for you. We'll certainly give it our best effort. Suzanne?
Thank you, Bill, very, very, very much. I greatly appreciate it, and boy, woo, what a difference a year makes, huh? First of all, I know the more than 3 people in the audience, so that's a nice beginning, quite frankly. I do want to thank everybody for being here this morning. I especially want to thank those that are on the webcast. This is our first ever webcast, so we know that you're out there, and we greatly appreciate your interest in our company. And again, I welcome all that you that are here. I actually have a great honor this morning. I'm standing before you representing more than 1,650 employees, and I'm here representing their accomplishments from 2012. So what I thought I'd start by doing this morning is highlighting some of those accomplishments and then talk a little bit about where we're heading in 2013. So got a great presentation here. We'll run through some of it. I always want to start with the financial results. Normally around the office here, we start with a safety minute because we do think safety first. But you, our investors, we thought we'd start with our financial results. And here they are, year over year. We brought forward 16% shareholder value to you between 2011 and 2012. And we did that in all 2 of our business segments. So if you look at gas utility year over year, 2012 to 2011, this year, income was 48.2, net income $48.2 million year over year. That's a 2.7% increase in the gas company, which is the core part of our business. And we accomplished those results in a few ways. One, we were able to reduce our costs from an operations and customer service perspective, but we were also able to increase the top line revenue. And we did that predominantly by investing in new infrastructure, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We also did a really nice job with LER, our marketing segment of our business. And that team worked extremely hard, and they improved year over year a little bit more than 18% on net income basis. And their hard work, they did that through a few different ways. One, they lowered their operating cost year over year. They were able to realign some contracts. That was helpful. But additionally, they were able to serve some customers that they had not served in the past. And so when we think about shareholder value, each one of our segments are working hard to deliver shareholder value. So in the aggregate, Laclede Group did just that. Again, 16% year over year. So on a dividend basis, that was 2.79% per share. So moving on to the next slide, the thing that's important to all of us is the dividend. And for 10 years in a row, we have grown dividend year over year for our shareholders. And we're proud of that. That is part of why you invest in us, and we want to continue to deliver on that promise. So moving along, we had a good year. And with a good year, we had good progress. And when I was thinking about the theme of the annual report and what we wanted to talk about, if you noticed on the annual report, I named it Onward. And Onward is important to me in that onward is about moving forward. It's not about halting. It's not about ending. It's not about forgetting the past. It's not about not building on the foundation that you have in place. But it is about moving forward. And so last year, we were very focused on a few elements of the business that Bill mentioned. 1, customer service, because we can never forget that. 2, growth, and I want to talk in great detail about growth, in fact, and I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. 3, financial results. And then 4, and Bill mentioned this, making sure that we're positioning ourselves in all elements of our business in a way that we can deliver on our promise. And our promise to you last year, as I stood before you, again representing our employees, was about growth. And there were 4 areas that I talked about in moving forward around growth. 1 was organic growth. How do we grow our business organically? And we said we were going to do that through investment in our infrastructure and investment in technology. 2, we do that through acquisition, and I'm going to talk a lot about that in a minute, acquisition. 3, we are growing through leveraging our competencies, leveraging the competencies of our organization. And then 4, we were going to invest in emerging technologies. So that was our commitment to you last year. I'm now able to stand in front of you, and I'm going to check some boxes because we did that. We made you a promise, and now we've delivered on that promise. Growing organically, and we've got a lot of people in the room from the operations side of our business, but last year we installed an amazing 41 miles of infrastructure to replace some cast iron pipe that has been serving our customers well for many years. 41 miles, that's an amazing accomplishment. Additionally, we're going to make the commitment in the next 5 years, we're going to invest over 250 or around 250 miles of pipe to replace cast iron. So I asked some of my baseball fans, well, what does that exactly mean? In essence, that's building a pipe down the road here at Busch Stadium all the way to Chicago's Wrigley Field. I don't know if I'm supposed to say those 2 ball fields in the same sentence, but anyway. So that's our commitment. And in addition to the infrastructure investment, we have been investing in technology. We call that technology project New Blue because it's new platforms. But those technology platforms are designed to do what we have been doing, which again is serving our customers and being efficient. Ryan and his team have done an excellent job with the broader business group of replacing our financial system as well as our HR system. And they're also aggressively working this year to do some other work. They're replacing our asset management system, and they're also replacing our customer care and billing system. So they've done a really, really nice job of pulling that together. So we're also able to sort of check the box, if you will, in that other area. So that's growing organically. But both of those particular investments do something else for us, and I've mentioned them. 1 is they allow us to serve our customers better, which is very important. 2, they enable us to be more efficient about our business. 3, they enable us to standardize, to the extent practical, our business processes, which means that we're able to better acquire businesses. And then a part that's not in that listing, but it's something that we do and think about every day, and that's safety. You know, if we have an improved system, either from a technology perspective or from a distribution system perspective, then that means that safety's greatly improved. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is acquire. We're going to acquire other companies. That was our commitment. But not just any companies, gas utility companies or other businesses that are similar. And our commitment, again, through acquiring other gas companies, we had the good fortune of being able to announce before the holidays the acquisition of MGE, or Missouri Gas Energy, and also New England Gas Company. And that was a great day for a lot of the employees, but it was a great day because basically that's what we do every day. We're a gas company, and they're gas companies. But this is also important to us in some other ways as well. First of all, it enabled us basically to double in size overnight. So it was transformative for us. That means we're going from about 630,000 customers to about 1.2 million customers. So that's significant, but it is what we do every day. Plus, it's in a state where our headquarters is, as well as the gas company that we currently serve, Laclede Gas. So we're now able to serve the 2 largest cities in the state, plus those rural areas that surround this part of the state. So we are the provider for the majority of the state. So acquisitions. Now I mentioned utilities, but I also mentioned that there or other businesses that we would be interested in. And those other businesses are what I call the first mile, last mile pipeline. So we're focused on utilities, but we're also focused on first mile, last mile pipelines. I'm often asked, well, what do you mean by that? First mile would be those incremental pieces of pipe that connect supply areas to our customers that aren't currently being served. So in other words, from the supply area into the pipeline grid, first mile. The other pipeline projects that we may be interested in are those that connect our customers or a customer to the pipeline grid, which would be the last mile. So in terms of acquisition, utilities, as well as first mile, last mile. So check the box last year, 2012, on acquisitions. And the third thing I mentioned to you is our competencies, leveraging our competencies of our employees. This one, perhaps, for me, is the biggest checking of the box, if you will. When I arrived, like I mentioned with my opening remarks, I didn't really know anybody at the company. I knew Doug, of course, from the industry perspective, and I had met several of the directors. But when I got in and got to meet the team, got to know them as individuals and their talents, they know what they're doing. They're a very talented group, and they have a lot of gas industry wherewithal, and they're strong on execution, they're strong on analysis. And so they've made a great team, and a lot of the things that have been accomplished is because of that great team that exists. But we did change a few things up together collectively, one of which was communication. Wanted to open up and have a whole lot more dialogue, a whole lot more connectivity, a whole lot more eye-to-eye conversation, a whole lot more of engaging our employees. And part of the reason for that is because we wanted that collaboration to execute well and move together. We wanted to have that collaboration. Additionally, we needed that innovation, and innovation comes from coming together. So we did change some of our formatting of communications. We also got very focused on our shared services model. What does that mean, and how do we execute with shared services? And we also went about standardizing our practices and policies. And then thirdly, we, what I call, quote, modernized our human resource practices and policies. So by leveraging those competencies, we've been able to execute well and deliver on our promise. And then the fourth, and certainly not the last, as I'm looking at Mike Spatansky and his role at the company, is a lot of focus on emerging technologies. When I think about the gas industry today, it's incredible. I've been in this industry now for 33 years, but when I step back and look at the notion that we have over 100 years of supply, which means we have lower prices and price stability. When I think about natural gas as the cleanest of all hydrocarbons, and when I think about how modern and safe and reliable our infrastructure is, I clearly understand that if you're ever going to be in the industry, natural gas is the right fuel, it's the right choice for right now. And as a result of that, and as a result of the emerging technologies, we set about really trying to understand some of our customer needs. And one of the demands that we were hearing is help us understand how we can convert our fleets. How do we convert our fleets, not necessarily be in the retail business or tractor trailers, but our fleets to natural gas? So we've spent a lot of time this year under Mike's leadership and his team really understanding what those customer requirements are. And in doing that, we pulled together a business model that we're extremely proud of. And we're going to debut today the name of that business. But I also wanted to let you know that we didn't go it alone. We didn't go it alone. And we engaged one of the global powerhouses around energy. But before I get into more details on that, I wanted to introduce you to our new segment, our new company called Spire.
Innovation and natural gas. Just a few short years ago, very few people would have used these words in the same sentence. However, over the centuries, inventing new ways to reliably harness energy has driven human progress and our global standard of living. Utilities are required to be steady and secure. As a result, they've attracted investors seeking predictable dividends in regulated markets. As recently as 2007, conventional wisdom said the era of affordable energy was coming to an end. But something happened on the way to predictability: innovation. Right now, new technology, including advanced drilling techniques, is unlocking a massive supply of clean, affordable natural gas, at least 100 years' worth, right here at home. Very few people would have predicted such a powerful transformation of America's energy sector. But throughout history, technology has reinvented whole industries, from entertainment to communications to retailing. Time and again, technology, created by people of vision and tenacity, has driven down costs while driving up value, fundamentally reshaping business models and changing the competitive landscape forever. With an abundant, low-cost natural gas supply, we are now positioned to transform one of the world's most important industries: transportation. There are millions of commercial vehicles in America. Less than 1% of them run on natural gas. Only a fraction of vehicles and fueling stations in America use natural gas, far less than other major nations around the world. But that's changing. Driven by simple and compelling economics, natural gas is far more affordable than diesel or gasoline. Key players in the natural gas vehicle ecosystem are taking action to radically streamline the cost structure of transportation. Vehicle and engine manufacturers, trade groups, government leaders, fleet managers, and natural gas suppliers like us. A typical transit agency can see a 30% reduction in fuel costs with compressed natural gas versus diesel, which translates into $12,000 savings per year per bus, all while reducing the impact on our planet and our health from greenhouse gas emissions. The federal government, along with several states, are transitioning their fleets to alternative fuels, and they are evaluating the best ideas to significantly raise the bar on fuel efficiency for heavy-duty trucks, buses, delivery vans, and eventually for millions of passenger cars. The only thing holding back the forces of change? Infrastructure. That's why the Laclede Group is excited to announce the launch of Spire Natural Gas Fueling Solutions in collaboration with Siemens. Laclede is a leader in the safe, dependable distribution of natural gas in the U.S., which has one of the world's most advanced pipeline systems. Siemens is a global powerhouse that solves the most complex challenges facing local communities. Together, we will drive NGV market expansion. Built from the ground up with input from hundreds of fleet managers and consumers from every corner of the country, Spire is a completely new brand, but one that's backed by hundreds of years of combined technical know-how and dependable service from Laclede and Siemens. Experience that's been proven to reduce risk on the road to change. We call it smarter at every turn. Managing the transition to NGVs can be challenging. That's why we offer an end-to-end solution built on a foundation of experience, knowledge, and long-standing industry relationships. Spire's competitive advantage is its comprehensive and consistent approach to infrastructure, from financing and building stations to providing training, ongoing maintenance, and support. Spire will inspire companies, communities, and consumers with new ideas and compel fleets to action, setting in motion an even larger wave of consumer growth that will create solid American jobs, protect the environment, and ultimately lift profits along with our nation's prosperity in the decade ahead. Spire, a major transportation innovation from the Laclede Group. Innovation that we believe our customers and our country will greatly value as we aim higher to move fleets onward. Spire, a common sense solution that's smarter at every turn.
Thank you. Thank you. Spire inspires me. Mostly our customers inspire me, and this is a product of the many, many days, hours, months of feedback from customers that are interested in this. And when you think about the business model, some of you may be asking yourself, well, why Siemens? Why the partnership with Siemens? And if you go back to what the customer needs are, we need someone who can design and build and engineer those stations, right? And that's what Siemens does. That's what Siemens does best, plus provide their consulting and their sales services. What we do best will be to own and operate those stations and provide the supply and provide the maintenance for those facilities and some of the other services that you saw in the video. That's what we do best. So the partnership is ideal in trying to give an end-to-end service to our customers. And some of you may be asking, well, all that sounds good, but what does that mean? So I also get the honor this morning of announcing our very first customer, and they happen to be in St. Louis, so that's a big plus in a big way to me as well. And that customer is the airport, Lambert International Airport. We've been working with them as well as the city to reach an agreement to serve their facility. Their facility is going to be a commercial facility for more than 100, I think it's around 150 vehicles from a starting point. I'm getting the head nod. But it's also a public station, so it's a public-private partnership, which is good for the city, the commercial side as well as other residential customers. So we're very excited about Spire. We're very excited as well because we're able to move where our customers are, regardless if it's in St. Louis or if it's in any community in the U.S. Because when you think about customer interests, they're not necessarily just in St. Louis. They could be regional or national. So Spire, and I get inspired every day coming in and coming to work here and working with this great group of people. A lot more in 2013, but I wanted to say too, our commitment is to you as investors. We will stick to our knitting. There's enormous opportunity in the natural gas industry. We don't need to go or even think far afield. We are going to stay focused and persevere around the goals and objectives that I've set out for you this morning. So thank you for your trust and your confidence in us, and onward together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzanne. Let's see if we have any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them, bearing in mind that she runs the company and I represent the board. So.
We've got a lot of talent in the room to answer anything. So yes, sir.
Please.
Yeah, Terry Brady. I just represent the shareholder. But this thing you just announced, I hadn't heard that before. I guess I haven't really been paying much attention. But I'm kind of, what happens when you get beyond the end of your pipe on this? I mean, I could see Lambert. I mean, you got the pipe right up to their front door. But what are you going to? I mean, this sounds like a major expansion on your customer area, well beyond the end of where your pipes are. What do you do when you're out there? And well, you mentioned Chicago or Los Angeles or something, where you're far away from your suppliers. So where does the company fit into all of this? And what would Siemens be doing, and what would you be doing? Yeah,
great question. And actually, I'm glad you haven't heard of it since this morning, because we haven't announced it earlier, so that mean it was the best kept secret. So that's good news. So what does it mean in terms of our partnership with Siemens versus our gas company that's here in St. Louis? The gas company is that. It has a franchise area, and it supplies gas to the customers in this area. Whereas Spire will be a non-regulated company, not part of the gas company, and it will go where our customers are. And to the extent that Spire is building fueling stations in the footprint of Laclede Gas, then Laclede Gas will get the benefit of having that gas run through its pipeline infrastructure to serve that customer. But if we're in markets that you mentioned, like Chicago or LA as an example, and some of the customers as an example we've talked to would be, say, an AT&T, which they're broader than just in the city, we would go to those cities as the company called Spire with our partnership with Siemens and provide that service. Whoever the gas company is in that area, obviously they would be providing that pipeline infrastructure and gas to those customers. Make sense? Okay. Thank you.
Any more? Well, good. Before we proceed with the formality of the meeting, I want to recognize the representatives from Deloitte & Touche who are present, and in my opinion have done a great job for Laclede Group and for its shareholders. Cliff Olson is the partner that's responsible for the account, and Amanda Guinzini is also on our account as well. So thank you, Cliff and Amanda. Okay. We have the report of the Inspector of Election, and Mary, would you please report?
Sure. The results were as follows. Brenda Newberry, Mary Ann Van Lokeren, and Suzanne Sitherwood each received favorable votes from greater than a majority of the voted shares, which is sufficient for their election for a term of 3 years. Also, the proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche LLP to audit the accounts of the Laclede Group for the fiscal year 2013 received favorable votes from greater than majority of the voted shares as well, which is sufficient for its approval.
Okay, as you've heard, the nominees named in the proxy statement have been elected, and the appointment of Deloitte & Touche has been ratified. And Ms. Kuhlman, if you will now make a closing statement and motion to adjourn, please.
Some of today's comments have included forward-looking statements. Actual results may differ materially from those projected. Additional information about factors that could cause actual results to differ materially from those projected is contained in the company's Form 10-K and other documents filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which are readily available. We also note that some of the remarks contain non-GAAP financial measures, and reconciliation of the non-GAAP financial measures to comparable GAAP measures can be found in our Form 10-K, available on our website. As proxy, I move that the meeting be adjourned. See you in a day.
Thank you. So ordered. Thank you for coming. Well done.